The alignment system is pointless, and maybe we need to get rid of it. I know, hot take of the year on this Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition .5, I guess, maybe? Is it 5th edition .5? Dungeons & Dragons 2024, whatever the hell you want to call it. The point is, the alignment system is a kind of ancient relic, and it's been a thorn in my side for years, so I've decided to come for it in the form of this takedown video. Yes, it's time to settle the ancient beef between Puck and the alignment system. And when I say it's a relic, I mean it. The alignment system goes all the way back to the inception of Dungeons & Dragons. It was created by Gary Gygax, who obviously had a lot of philosophical ideas when it came to the relationship between law and chaos and good and evil, though that was the original access. We didn't used to have all these pieces. You just had whether you were lawful or chaotic, and then whether you were good or evil. And of course we merged them all together, and that's how we get our rich gradient. But it doesn't mean anything, and I can prove that scientifically. You see, ever since the alignment system was created way back in its inception by Gary Gygax, way back at the beginning of Dungeons & Dragons, people have struggled what to do with the alignment system. They've attached it as something that decides whether or not you get your cleric or paladin powers. They've made it something that if you don't adhere to, you lose experience points and you can't level up. The alignment system has been like a game of telephone. Once you settle the philosophy aside, it has changed and morphed over the years as everyone tried to figure out what the hell it was for. And we still don't know. Every single new edition that comes along since that very first one, we struggle and we pick and we preen and look for a way to make the alignment system fit into the game. It's like that old adapter cable that you have laying around a junk drawer somewhere. We refuse to get rid of it because it seems important and we just hate to need it and not have it. And look, obviously all philosophy aside, the idea of an alignment system at its core as a game mechanic, and that is what we are discussing here, a game mechanic. It allowed the players to easily and simply discern who were their friends and who were their enemies. At its basest form, the alignment system is nothing more than a paper-thin pretext to justify mass goblin murder. What am I gonna do? It says he's evil right on the card. It's time to cast Fireball. And I can't help but feel like we've grown past all of this. And the evidence is everywhere. It's not just in Dungeons & Dragons. For those of you that are not painfully young, might remember a time in which alignment systems were all the rage in video games. Good versus evil, light side versus dark side, Paragon versus Renegade, the list goes on. But you really don't see that kind of system anymore. It's kind of grown out of style. It's a style of things that lends to a less defined character. A character that can just be defined by the switch between good or evil, lawful or chaotic, or wherever you land on the tic-tac-toe board of good or evil, lawful and chaotic. It is a system designed for more simple characters, and I believe we've all just grown past making simple characters at this point. I mean, really, just ask yourself, when was the last time you were asked to use the alignment chart, or actually used it in-game? Don't answer just yet. I can probably tell you. It was either while you were playing Turn of Fortune's Wheel or Vecna Eve of Ruin. And even in those modules, it tends to be more of a one-off mechanic than a consistent part of the gameplay. So if we're not using it for gameplay, surely the purpose of the alignment system must be to be using it for roleplay purposes, as a guide to decide what actions your character should be taking. But who actually does that? Very few of you, I shouldn't wonder. In all the games I've played, in all the tables I've played with, in the literal dozens of chaotic neutral players that have handed me character sheets, their decisions have always been driven by things outside of their character alignment. The decisions are built on what they think of an NPC, the stakes of a current situation, what kind of values and ideals they've built up in the character, and sometimes the personal feelings of justice and conviction that the player has that they haven't separated from their character. This is how people roleplay. It has nothing to do with which collection of words, lawful, good, neutral, evil, chaotic, you put on your character sheet. It very rarely does. So we don't use it for gameplay. We probably don't use it for roleplay. There might be a few edge cases. Hello in the comments, edge cases. So nice of you to join us. Regardless of the edge cases, we must ask ourselves again, if we are not using it for gameplay or roleplay, what is it for? And look, the crazy hippie paint your feelings dungeon master inside of me wants to say, it's for whatever you need it to be for, except for one small little hiccup. The alignment system as it is applied to the monster manual drives me up the wall. 'Cause none of it is true. It's all nonsense. Entire species of creatures in the monster manual labeled as evil or chaotic evil because that's what it says in the book. This was one of the many straws that broke the camel's back in the switch from choosing a player race to choosing a player species. Which, overall, I'm in favor of. Species is more accurate. Race is a thing that we made up to justify enslaving people who look different from us. Isn't history fun? And yet, here we are with the 2024 edition of Dungeons & Dragons, 50 years old, and still classifying entire species of creatures as evil. Something that has never been true. Just as it was employed in video games, in Dungeons & Dragons, an alignment system lends itself to creating very simplified characters. Anyone who's played those games probably has a story of a time where they were selecting what they thought to be a perfectly reasonable option, but because the game decided it was the evil option, the character acted like he was some hybrid of Hitler and Skeletor, and it all came away feeling a bit shallow and unsatisfying, because people are more complicated than that. The characters we're creating nowadays are more complicated than that. And sure, there's the memes. The alignment chart has become so ubiquitous, there are numerous pictures online of people putting people into the alignment charts, various fictional characters, people we know about, but all of those people are at the end of their character arcs. And at various points in their journeys, they could have occupied different portions on that chart. And not just in a sense of good one day, evil the next. On a case-by-case, situation-by-situation basis, the alignment changes. It's a simple system for more shallow characters, and we're just making stuff more complex than that these days. I'll give you a real-life example. I was playing a game in a game shop recently. As a weekly game, I unfortunately had to tap out because of personal obligations, but the character I made for that game was an archetype I'd been thinking about for a while. I call him the Friendship Lizard. Now, this was a lizardman druid who lived in the ancient swamps of the High Moors, right next to the Serpent Hills and the ruins of Najara. Now, the ancient Najara Empire was this enormous Yuan-Ti kingdom, and it was toppled long ago, so all that's left is kind of the remnants of this grand, enormous empire. And my character, the Friendship Lizard, grew up around these ruins, and he would see the various members of his lizardman tribe attacked by adventurers, and he knew that the kingdom of Najara was collapsed by a group of adventurers, not unlike the ones he sees regularly in his swamp. So, he comes to the conclusion that the togetherness, the grouping of these bands of adventurers is the key to their power. So he studies them and eventually discovers friendship. And he believes that friendship, these kinds of bonds that groups form, are the source of the incredible power that toppled the Najara Empire. So he is trying to learn the magic of friendship for the purposes of bringing back an ancient, evil, snake person empire, which in fact has no place for him, but he doesn't know that. He's only ever seen the ruins of a grand civilization. He worships Dendar the Night Serpent with no idea of what that means, only knowing that he's seen his name and the depictions all over the ruin. And the question came up while I was playing this character, the Friendship Lizard, who's just trying to be friends with everybody. What is his alignment? And I didn't know what to say. day. I put it to the group and we all started thinking about it, and we had quite a bit of trouble classifying my friendship lizard. Because he was a perfectly nice friendship lizard. He always tried to be cordial, think of each people's feelings, reach out if he felt like anybody was having a hard time, because these were things that he learned made him a good friend. He felt that this would bring him closer to the power of friendship. He's all about learning how to create bonds with others, so he becomes a very kind and empathetic character. But he's doing this to try and bring back an evil empire in the service of a nightmare serpent god that he doesn't know or understand. He's an unwitting participant in trying to restore tyranny, but doing it through friendship. What is his alignment? And I'm sure the comments down below are now filled with people trying to pin down the alignment of my friendship lizard. Welcome back, commenters. Good to see you again. But circling back to my point, the character was too complex to pin down with the existing alignment system. And at the end of the day, it really didn't matter because they only wanted to pin it down to see how hard it would be for me to climb a set of stairs. And there's frankly other ways I could arrive at that conclusion. Or maybe I'm the only one that makes too complex of characters. Either way, I believe my point stands. It's an old model, and I don't think we need it anymore. But we have it, so let's be constructive here. If we can't get rid of the alignment system, let's see if we can change or modify it to be more useful in-game. How would we alter the alignment system? Well, I have some thoughts on that. First, easiest one, simply apply alignment to organizations and stop applying it to overall individuals. I think this is an easier, better way to do things. If you need to make an individual judgment call, do it based on your player's character's behavior. We all know what good and evil is. You can make an argument for it. When the gold dragon says he senses evil in the rogue's heart because the rogue burnt down the orphanage that one time, then they're gonna know what they did. Hello, consequences of my actions. And I mean, even applying it broadly to organizations isn't perfect because it's like, well, this government says that this rebel group is evil because they want to feed all the poor people and kick out the king who's eating all of the money or whatever. So yeah, no different than alignment now, but case by case your mileage may vary, and applying it to organizations I think has fewer issues, like Drow, not all evil. Church of Lolth, probably evil. Hey, look at that. It's an evil organization, a church that worships a goddess that likes it when you're chaotic and evil. Not a lot of nuance there. Pretty easy to classify that one. There, I solved the problem of evil races. Wizards of the Coast, I expect my check in the mail. Please pay me in Canadian dollars. Next thing we could do is we could make alignment a formal game mechanic. Make it something that you accumulate positive or negative points for based on the things that you do. Then depending on how many positive or negative points you accumulate at the end of every other level up, or maybe every third level up, your alignment adjusts accordingly. This, of course, can have broader implications. There's a lot of very powerful magical creatures out there that can tell whether somebody has a dark heart. The gold dragon scenario that we discussed earlier is a perfect example. Finally, there's the possibility of just reconstructing the alignment system into a kind of honor system, where if you do lots of good deeds, you get bonuses when you go to towns because people heard of the good stuff you did, and if you do lots of bad stuff, you get detriments when you go to town because people heard about all the bad stuff you did. Again, I like to lean towards trying to make it a game mechanic rather than make it a roleplay thing, because I don't feel like that's the way people roleplay. Call it what you want on the sheet, but people are going to make decisions differently because humans are complex emotional creatures. And if we can't do any of this, maybe it's time to get rid of the alignment system. We'll lose the memes, but in the end, the memes live forever. And honestly, it's not even that radical of an idea. We actually tried this back in 3.5. In the Eberron setting, there was no alignment system, and we got along just fine. It's frankly astonishing to me that they brought it back in the 2024 system. We learned to go without it in the past, and I'm sure we can learn to go without it in the future, considering that we barely use it anyways. So that's what I think about the alignment system. If you disagree with me, join me down in the comments and let me know. Let me know of creative ways you've seen alignment used, if you've seen it used at all. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you like me and would like to play in one of my games where alignment doesn't matter and never has, you can join me on startplaying.games, where there's all kinds of games being run by all kinds of dungeon masters, and you can join any one of them. I've got a couple open spots in in some of my games, and I'd be happy to have you. That's it for the video today. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all the YouTube things, watch my other videos, and until next time everyone, puck out.